142. Oh, wait, I need to do the intro. Yeah, yep. Bree, is that yogurt and berries and granola? What else is in there?
Yogurt, berries, granola, honey.
I knew
hemp
it.
Seeds.
Yep. Hemp. Whoa. Okay. Awkward silence ending. Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brianna and Sam. You're listening to No Limits PlayStation Podcast, episode 142. Remember, you can find the video version of this pod over on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia every Tuesday. And while you're over there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you would rather listen to audio, we are on all your favorite podcast services, and we would love it if you could leave us a review. It helps us grow. We would love any feedback. If you want to support us and get early access to all Save the Game Media content, head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia and choose the tier that's right for you, just like our current patrons did. Alpaca Tom, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Nikolai Knight, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, David Hodright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Lee Navarro, Sil Cannon, Rick Davis, and Todd Oxtra. Also, please interact with us in Discord, and links are in the show notes. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm still concurrently on 2 IGN projects. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
How the hell that's still
I
happening.
thought you said you were getting a break, Sam.
What is this? What is this? What is this break word you speak of?
All these workaholics are the same.
But no, I'm doing well. I mean, the weather has taken a turn here for the positive in the UK over the past week or two.
What does that mean? Like positive weather? Like, give me like
sun.
Well, yeah, sun.
Sunny.
It's not raining, and it's not overcast and grey.
Let me look at the
forecast.
Now,
granted, to be clear, I prefer it when it's overcast and grey. But other people would tell you that it's nicer when it's sunny outside.
Whoa.
Those people are wrong.
Through Friday this week, it's supposed to be pretty nice.
Yeah.
You know what I imagined when you Googled that, Taylor? Is you're like, in my head, you Googled Sam's house weather. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, so it's been nice to spend a bit of time outside. I am currently dying of hay fever, though. So that's the one negative, which I always do every year, like clockwork around this time. So I came prepared, dosed up on medication for it.
We can tell.
Can you tell? Yeah.
What meds for the sun?
No, that would be for the hay fever, Taylor. Like I was just saying. I'm not sure you can take meds for the sun. I mean, unless you can.
Do we really call it hay
sunscreen.
fever here? Like, I think it is sometimes, but I think it's just called allergies here, right?
Hay fever. Hay fever. It's called allergies, seasonal allergies.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I take some Claritin, take some anti-drowsy antihistamine, take some of that loratadine, 10 milligrams. You know what I'm saying? Some of that.
I do take antihistamines. You're right. I do.
Yeah. Just don't take Benadryl because then it'll make you sleepy.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Good advice. Go on. It's on the tip of your tongue. I know it is.
Maybe a ginger shot. Maybe some
yeah.
BS.
That's not bad.
Maybe some I don't know.
Have honey in your tea, that sort of stuff. That all helps as well.
Yeah, that's woohoo.
Helps coat your throat, you know?
That's a myth.
What she said.
God damn it.
And that's where I'm going to stop talking and hand it over to someone else.
Okay.
Taylor, how are
Bree,
you?
how are you?
Nope, I asked Taylor first.
Oh.
Let's see. Work's busy. I don't think I'm as stressed as I was the past couple weeks, so that's good. Games. I've installed Death Oh, wait, let me back up. So I saw Thunderbolts last Sunday night. Very good film. Me likey. And now I know what the asterisk refers to. I will not tell you, Bree.
Okay, thank you.
And it's cool. And oh yeah, I saw a movie called Four Mothers. It's about a gay Irish man caring for his older mother and three other gay Irish friends of the main character drop off their moms at his home too because they want to go to a resort with other gay men. So it's a story about this gay man caring after his mother and three of his friends' mothers, as absurd as that might seem. But it was good. It was part of the film festival showing, so that was cool. And yeah, for games, have I played games? No, but
will you play
Classic.
games?
But I've installed.
When will you play games?
I've installed Death Stranding Director's Cut, and I swear, this week I'm gonna play it. And actually, apparently, I already had it installed, but it was locked behind my PS Plus subscription that I don't have. So
I feel like that kind of went over Taylor's head.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
So then I just paid the $10 for the upgrade fee because I purchased the game digitally in 2019, back when I was 3. So time flies. Yep. Now, so that makes me 9 now. Yep. Technically, I could have been 3 back in 2019 if I was born on February 29th. No, that wouldn't work in the year I was born. No, this isn't working.
You tried.
Yeah. So, also, I'm going to be taking, I think, a break from No Limits over the next few weeks. I need to think about stuff, to put it broadly. And yeah, I don't know. It's not any surprise to listeners how little I've played games over the past many months. And my return to games will probably be in a heavy sense. Will probably be with Death Stranding, 2 with Switch 2. I don't know after that, but yeah, I don't know. Thinking with how much I play games, if am I the right guy or not for a show like this? So I need time to think about that. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, even if I decide to step away for longer or forever, I don't think this will be my last show at the time of recording.
Better not be. You son of a bitch.
Okay. All right. Just don't die. Yeah, sorry to drop that on you, listener, viewer. But yeah, I don't know if you've listened to us long enough, at least over the past 6 months to a year. This shouldn't be terribly surprising news, I hope. But yeah.
It's okay. We'll all work it out, and it'll all be okay.
I don't know. What if it isn't?
Well, then the podcast will still be here.
Some sort of
it'll be okay.
demon is trying to emerge out of Taylor.
It's Scott.
Okay. And even if we don't record with each other, I'll do co-op with you in Returnal and or Helldivers and or other games.
I would love so much to play Returnal, but Sam is busy and hates us.
Okay, let me see. Is there a deal right now? PS deals each Returnal.
Bree, I got you through. We got through like 4 of the biomes together.
Yeah, and you just left me on the last one.
Got him.
What? Okay, I didn't just leave you. We both died. We lost on the run.
And he said bye.
Wow, Sam just said bye.
And then I messaged him again. I say, hey,
multiple projects.
I need help. And he says, I'm busy with work.
It's still installed on my PS5. I'll come back at some point.
Isn't there an Alien TV show now? Speaking of Returnal?
Alien Earth, yeah. That's happening soon, yeah.
Oh, God. I'm skeptical.
Isn't there a Last of Us TV show? Y'all.
Oh, right. Yeah, I need to watch that season. It's funny. People say, hey, have you heard of this Last of Us thing? I'm like, people who don't play games, I'm just like, Have I? Who are you?
Noobs.
That's my response.
Yeah, somebody asked me. They're like, that. Well, they go, well, the scene in the game and the scene in like, in the TV show for like the golfing scene, it's the same. And I was like, no,
Not even close.
no, not even close. And she goes, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, you should probably go watch that before
You got
say
to you got to think there are men out there who assume a woman they know in their lives has not played the game or has not watched the show or played, like they think they don't know the game exists and they tell a woman in their life, yo, have you heard about this? So here's a story where this, that, and then her response is, yeah, I played it. I know what happens.
Not tell you how many times a random dude has been like, oh, you play games? What kind of games? It's like, and it's never like, oh, like, what kind of games are you playing? Okay. I don't want to say
Like,
it's
you play
wholesale
Candy
100%.
Crush.
Yeah. It's not 100% wholesale, like all men suck, but it's like a huge chunk of the time. Like if I say I watch anime or if I say like I play video games, it's like, what kind? Oh, well, that doesn't even count. So like,
Oh,
no,
gatekeeping, nice.
I'm like, oh, you make me so tired.
I saw a statistic yesterday that said New York Times now makes more money from its New York Times puzzle subscriptions than it does for news.
Nice.
Like the crossword and the whatever it's called.
Sudoku? I don't know if they have that or not.
No, they have like another word game where there's like I don't know.
I don't do those. No word games
Wordle?
for me.
Oh, yeah, they own Wordle now. That's true. What's the Wordle of today? Anyway, Bree, how about you?
It's how am I?
Yeah.
My cat's annoying me right now. That's what's happening. Luna, hey. Oh, she does not listen. She doesn't even look at me when I say like, hey. Anyways, I'm doing okay. I feel a little stuck with everything going on. So I'm trying to figure stuff out. I have myself convinced one way or another, multiple times a week. Like, oh yeah, I'm moving here. Oh yeah, I'm doing this. And I cannot commit to one because every time I do, I've talked myself out of it. So I'm feeling a little stuck because I can't leave California with my job. But I also can't afford to live in California with my job. So what to do?
Get a new job somewhere else. It's really easy.
The job market is really good right now, huh?
It's so great, and it's only going to get better because Walmart's going to pay the tariffs, and we're not going to see the cost. Yes, right, guys?
That's what they say, yeah.
The tariffs have been a mess at my work, y'all. It's so bad. Anyways. Doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but it doesn't matter in this moment. I did order something from the UK on Thursday, and I did have to pay it in Great British pounds, and it was a lot more US dollars. It was like $40 more or something like that, like after the conversion. I was like, oh well, it was books, so
Worth it.
Worth the special edition books for sure. I honestly have just been like reading a lot, crocheting a lot, hanging out. I've actually been hanging out with friends a lot, like in person recently.
Yay.
So that's been tiring but fun. And games wise, I'm still on Blueprints. I have been finally fully convinced to play Clair Obscur. But I will not be starting it until I feel much more comfortable with where I'm at on Blueprints, because I have so much to do. That damn game.
So you're putting down Blueprints for Clair Obscur, or you're putting Clair Obscur?
I'm waiting to play Clair Obscur until I'm further in Blueprints. I got to a point, I think I've already expressed this, but I got to a point where I realized that the big puzzle wasn't actually the big puzzle, and there's another giant puzzle. that's like
Damn.
behind the big puzzle, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
The Princess is another castle kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. Not really, but yeah. And so I was like, oh my god. And don't even really know. I like had to look up like a guide to the puzzle, and like because they have like those hints or whatever that's like to get you going in a direction, because it was such a big puzzle that I was like, I don't even know where to start with this. So I got a hint, and now I'm running down some information.
Cool.
So Sam, what have you been playing?
Yeah, Sam.
Bloodborne 5.
Still, well, I mean, as I suggested with the two projects, I'm still on Claire Obscure. Every time I think I'm done, apparently I'm not, and I get more stuff
200%.
to do. Oh, trust me, I've already done 2 100% runs in the game. So, I mean, I still love the game, but I'm beyond ready for it to be done now. I've been on it for well over a month, and that's just mind-numbing. Also, obviously, doing the Dark Ages, which is what I was talking about last week. I think it's good. Like, I think my opinion on it is slightly souring the further away I get from it. But overall, it's still a fun time, still a good Doom game. I just would probably, even though I think Eternal is too fast, I would probably still pick that over Dark Ages, which I didn't feel initially. But that's what opinions do; they change.
Interesting.
Haven't played any Blueprints this week, which hurts my soul.
It hurts my soul too, because I need your help.
I want to get back to it. And, you know, without knowing, Tyler, I too, just yesterday, returned to Death Stranding.
I knew it.
You guys must have had some sort of Bluetooth connection.
I think it's either I can't remember whether I said on a recording or just in a message to one or both of you that I wanted to actually finally get the platinum for Death Stranding, because it's one of the few from the PS4 era, like big games that I haven't actually finished off. I'm not that far off.
I do remember you saying this.
But instead, I'm because I'm deluded. Instead of loading up my PS4 save, I've actually just started a new save. So I'm having to unlock everything again. I'm skipping all the cutscenes because I've seen the cutscenes like 3 or 4 times. So I'm just really getting into the gameplay very quickly, and speeding through a lot of the early chapters. So I think I've just started chapter 4. And I love it as much as I did back then to get me ready for Death Stranding 2. Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad that you're going to be giving it a go, Taylor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I even I was gonna do a funny bit, right? I was gonna do some funny joke, but I kind of just can't be asked to do a funny joke. So what I'm gonna do instead, right, is I'm just gonna like rotate my chair slightly and then just push back.
What? Whoa. For listeners who can't see his screen, Sam has an Xbox on his desk right now.
I've converted to
the Galaxy Digital Xbox Series X, 2 terabyte.
Yep, I couldn't help it. With that price increase, I just looked at it. I was like, oh, now's the time to buy.
So what are you going to do with your old PS5? Keep it?
TBD.
I'd sell that.
I'm keeping it for the time being, and then what I'll do is I'll see if the price increases. For the listeners, it's a PS5 Pro. That's behind me. Well, it's not behind me. It's there. The box is behind me.
But it's unboxed, turned it on.
It is. It's what I'm playing Death Stranding on.
Does it feel? Sorry, I'm going to.
Does it feel professional?
It does feel incredibly professional. Yes. Which is a good thing as well, because Housemarque dropped that Pro patch for Returnal.
Ooh.
So that's even more reasons for me to jump back in and test it out. But yeah, I think I'll keep my PS5 for now. I'll see if the prices increase in the coming weeks, which is, to be clear, what prompted me. I mean, besides the fact that I use it every day, it will benefit me for work. And I checked this, I can claim it as tax deductible on my self-assessment tax return at the end of the year.
That makes sense.
Interesting.
Wait, when do you guys do your taxes?
It's like, I think the tax year ends in like April or something. But you have to submit by the end of January every year.
Oh, wait. So does it work as you
interesting.
deduct the entire price from your taxable income, or you just don't have to pay taxes on?
Yes, the second one.
Okay.
So I don't get like 700 off of my taxable income, but it contributes a percentage to the deduction. It's complicated, but I'm not going to pretend to understand it. But I know that I can claim it as tax deductible. So in the same way I can for my PC, which I will be doing this calendar year. And if the prices go up for the PS5, then I can probably sell my PS5 for a little bit more. It's still in perfectly fine working condition.
Wow.
So capitalize there. If not, then I might just keep it and then sell it if I need to. But I don't need to right now. So I thought I'd just pull the trigger on it. I really wasn't thinking about it. And then Sony came out and were like, we might be passing the prices on to consumers. I was like, well, is it actually a smart choice for me when I use the PS5 pretty much every day for work and leisure? Like, I'd get the money's worth over the next few years, and I get the best versions of the upcoming games. So
I think now's a good time if you are going to upgrade to a Pro. I think now's a good time rather than later.
Yeah. So was it an impulse purchase? You're damn right. Do I regret it?
You ever do?
Not yet. I don't
give it
regret
time.
Yet.
Let it marinate.
Yeah. And next week I'll be just a boring.
You know what though? Like, I bet like Bloodborne and Elden Ring looks so good on it.
I bet you Bloodborne looks exactly the same.
No, I'm telling you, Bloodborne going from my PlayStation 4 to my PlayStation 5 was night and day difference. It was insane.
And I can tell you that because I have Bloodborne permanently installed on my external hard drive, the PS5 Pro also has a specific setting you can enable that even if a game hasn't been patched, will dynamically up-res or upscale certain games, and Bloodborne is one of them.
That's awesome.
So the image quality is even sharper.
But the frame rate is still 30.
Indeed. Yeah, the frame rate hasn't changed, but the image quality has improved. So
I'm telling you, like, there's a specific, I don't remember the name of the cloak that I'm wearing, but like the outfit that I'm wearing on my character, when I went to the PlayStation 5, there were literally textures that like I didn't even know were on the cloak. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, like, it was completely different. You can see so much more. And now I want to restart Bloodborne.
I know the feeling.
I talked about it too long.
Bree, you gotta finish the DLC.
I know. I'm so far away from finishing the DLC, though.
It's exactly why you should go. The best boss fight of the game awaits you.
Okay, well, then one of you two come help me, please.
Good point. Sam, Maria's the best boss fight of Bloodborne, right? Just agree with me.
No.
What's your favorite then, Sam?
Hmm. That's a good question. As much as it's like a pain in the ass, and don't you say a goddamn word, Taylor. Orphan of Kos, for
Oh,
sure.
come on.
What's the I guess yeah, maybe mechanically you might have a point, Taylor, for Maria. But like I'm not Bloodborne specifically, I'm not as concerned about mechanics of a boss fight. I care more about like vibe, setting, presentation, all of that stuff. So like Rom the Vacuous Spider is super sick, even though the boss fight is relatively simple. You know,
I do like that fight.
Yeah, so I actually can't recall that many of the other boss names. I know what they look like, but it's probably Orphan of Kos, I think, because it's the culmination, right? You know, like that's you saying you beat it first time.
I thought Gehrman, dude, when he just gets up, what a that's a crazy moment.
Mm-hmm.
He could have just done that at any makes it what so actually my thesis statement, Gehrman is a bad person because he fakes being in a wheelchair.
Maybe they'll
That's the only reason.
Maybe they'll add a German skin to what's that new Switch game called?
I literally don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but
What?
Where
I'm not going to be helpful on remembering the name.
The basketball one where everyone's in wheelchairs.
Oh my god.
Maybe they'll add a skin for him there. Because again, they said they aren't disabled in that game. They're just in wheelchair type vehicles.
I don't understand. Why don't okay.
Because I just have arms in my head, but that's not like because the joke was they should have called the game that we're thinking of Legs, because it's like, that's the joke, but it's like, what is that game called? That's gonna piss me off if I can't.
Man, Google's a game about people and
switch to basketball. Drag X Drive.
There we go.
German skin confirmed.
Oh, see, this is who I was thinking of. I don't think that she's my favorite, but she was who I was thinking of, is Vicar Amelia.
Oh yeah.
I think she's cool.
Big old wolf lady.
Yeah.
With my favorite boss fights are not in Bloodborne.
Oh, just say you love Artorias. Say it already. And Nameless King.
I do like Artorias, but that's not my favorite either.
Nameless King. I know it is. I know
all my favorites are in. I do like Nameless King. That one's such a good fight. It's so hard though.
It's the two princes in Dark Souls 3. No, it's the dancer.
That's also a good shout out. That's a really. I was actually gonna. Yes.
Oh, so it is the dancer is your favorite.
She's definitely my favorite. He. Yeah. Yeah.
I knew it. I think
I was gonna say, for anybody that I don't think either of you guys are paying attention. No. So in Epic the Musical, the person who did the really fancy animation for God Games, they had a reference to the two brothers fight in that, and or a reference to Elden Ring, depending on where you want to pull the reference from. But anyways, that was a very obscure. I don't think you guys have been watching Epic the Musical, so
interesting though.
Yeah, I've not watched Epic Musical.
It's okay. I won't try and convert more people. That's my whole personality right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Is Sam also frozen for you, or is it just my internet?
No, I can see him. I can see him moving.
Okay, so it is my internet. Cool. Sam, your internet and my internet are not getting along.
Anyway, Sam, you love finances. Want to read the first story? Yeah, very funny, Sam. Dale Cooper. Okay. Dale Cooper. Okay.
God damn it.
Okay, story?
So Sony's latest financials have come in for the quarter and thus for the previous fiscal year. There's lots of information that you can dive into if you want to. You can look it up. But the key takeaways are as such. In the latest quarter, Sony sold 2.8 million PS5s, meaning the total for the year that's just gone is 18.5 million units. That's down from 20.8 the previous year. Game and network services were up 9% year on year, and operating income was up 43%, primarily due to third party. So thank you, Xbox, I guess. Monthly active users up 5%, totaling 124 million players. And amongst the midst of different comments from Hiroki Totoki, a couple from Herman Hulst, none of them really noteworthy. The chief financial officer of Sony, Lin Tao, who was recently promoted to that position, I think, in the leadership shakeup, announced specifically two major changes that have come alongside this new leadership setup. One being that before, sell-in units was the focus, meaning units sold and the amount that the game has sold, etc., etc. But now management is focused on engagement and monthly active users, leading to increased profitability. So that's exciting. And then the second thing she pointed out was a much tighter financial discipline within the first-party studios. She said, quote, "In the past, there were issues with the first-party studios, and Totoki-san was temporarily the CEO and talked about various structural reform. Compared to a few years ago, the financial discipline is in place, but there's still upside opportunity here. Mainly, I think the mindset has changed significantly." So Sony is doing very well at the end of the day. That's a lot of numbers, a lot of percentages, but the long and short of it is that Sony is doing arguably better than they ever have. I think the hardware is technically, I mean, as it said, down from 20.8 million. I think that was like a 6% decrease. But other than that, they are sort of just, again, they've got that inertial momentum that's just carrying them right now, where it doesn't seem to matter what happens, what they do. They just kind of have that inherent wave that they're riding. I think the MAU focus is a concerning sentiment, but we've seen them pull back from live service in a major way. And I'm pretty confident that more so than anything, that's kind of just the buzzword salad that they throw out to shareholders to get them excited. I don't know if that's going to have a material impact on the majority of the products that SIE produces. And also worth keeping in mind, Lin Tao talking here is the Sony CFO. Like, she is of the entire corporation, not just SIE and PlayStation. So this has widespread things across, other divisions under Sony, but inevitably does factor in PlayStation as well. And then my last thought is about the financial discipline. We talked about it a lot. Like, the budgets are getting out of control. Dev cycles are getting longer. And whilst that almost always in Sony's case results in like top tier industry leading products, how sustainable is that? Can they rein it in? Can they do more Mars Morales Lost Legacy type games? Can they do more Astrobots? Can they outsource IP more? I think that is clearly what they're leaning towards, and I think that is ultimately better. I hope that though that this financial discipline doesn't actually translate in any way to cost cutting in terms of layoffs and job reductions and things like that. I think that is clearly a negative that I wouldn't want to be the case. I hope it's just plan your projects better, have a better pipeline in place across the whole corporation, and maybe that means we get more games more often, but they're just smaller in size, maybe cost a little bit less to buy as a result. I don't know.
Yeah. I will say I do kind of like the focus being on engagement. I think that and active users. I think that that's like a interesting thing to focus on. Sorry, my brain is like warming up still. Anyways, so what I'm saying is that I think that that's like a good thing to focus on, because I do think that it's may not lead to more direct profit immediately, but I do think it could be good for the company over time. And I also think that that's like a beneficial thing for users, right? Because they're focusing on keeping their users engaged, which of course would be us. So it sounds like it could potentially be a win-win depending on how they go about it. Obviously, like there's no way to know until it's like already happened. But it in theory sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah. I also think that it's funny that like the game and network services were up. Like, I don't know. It's funny to me because like the whole fact that like Xbox is probably like part of that just is so silly. But what can you do?
Well, and also the fact that like the game and network services, which isn't directly or like overtly including the third party stuff. Like network services, obviously PlayStation Plus and things like that. That's increasing again, despite the fact that PlayStation first party output is, far more sparse. Many would argue non-existent. It's like, again, it's that inertial momentum where it's like they aren't putting out the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans right now, and they're still up from a position of being up already. It's when we're talking about the financials, they don't reset every quarter. Like where they were is the new baseline, and then you're either up or down from that, which is why the Xbox hardware is like, that's really bad because it just keeps being down from a down point. It's like Sony were up and now they're up again, which is what is going to be the case for software on Xbox's side, obviously, even more so than this. But it is, as you say, very entertaining that all of these things have coalesced and happened at the same sort of time, where they've kind of saved each other as asses. Like where would Sony be if Xbox hadn't sort of thrown the towel in? Would be a very interesting alternate universe to explore, but we're not there.
Yeah, that's kind of inappropriate behavior. I was going to say 69ing, but
Wow.
You worried about engagement, Taylor? That's all?
No. I'm concerned about what this financial discipline is they're discussing with first party studios. If it's it's a general term. If by financial discipline they mean maybe we shouldn't be pumping 300 plus 200 plus million into one game, I think I agree with that. If they mean financial discipline as in we want to shrink the size of our developer footprint, I'm not such a big fan of that aspect of financial discipline. I think there's the right way to spend less money in a sustainable way that keeps jobs. And it's unclear to me what kind of discipline he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, if I'm going to be honest, it's probably both. So I'm very interested to see what this financial discipline that's being talked about, how that shows itself in the next 6 months, if it shows itself publicly. Right?
Yeah.
Taylor, it's she.
Whoops, she. Oh, yeah, it was Lynn. I thought Hiroki said that. My bad. It was Lynn Tao. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I don't know. And it might even take longer than 6 months for us to find out exactly what it looks like. I mean, I guess if it's like layoffs or reduction, headcount reductions, then that probably is going to be relatively soon following this end of the quarter. But I hope it just means that instead of spending, like you say, Taylor, instead of spending 300 million on Spider-Man 2, which seems crazy considering you already had Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales as the foundation, you're just building off of that. Instead of spending 300 million on a single project, why don't you have 2 or 3 splinter teams within Insomniac? I mean, technically they have that already, but do that across this, all or most of your larger first party teams, Santa Monica, Naughty Dog. You can't really do that with something like Sucker Punch because Sucker Punch is still pretty small. And just have them working on 2 less big things concurrently. And that's a win-win for literally everyone on every front, I think, where it means us as consumers get games from them more often, whether it's new IP or, mid-sized games in IP that we love. So we get them more often. That solves the pipeline issue. That means more income for them. That means less, the break-even point on each project is much lower. It means that they can dominate the conversation more in, awards seasons and summer showcase seasons. They have more stuff to talk about. I think that I don't see the downside in doing that, really. Again, as long as the jobs and people are protected, I think that reducing the size of their games, like we wouldn't hate Spider-Man 2 or God of War Ragnarok any less if it was, 10, 15 hours shorter.
Yes, I would.
And by that, I mean, I'll take
Spider-Man 2 isn't that long.
But what I mean is, and I don't mean necessarily story-wise, I just mean extra content. Like, do we need everything side content-wise that was in God of War Ragnarok? I loved it all. I did it all. But if you take that out, and as a byproduct, we can then have a, 5 to 10 hour Atreus spin-off or a 5 to 10 hour Greek God of War thing. Would I trade it for that? Probably. Because I still get the main content of Ragnarok and I get another thing rather than Ragnarok being that much bigger. And I know not everyone will agree with that, and that's fine. But I think that is probably in the long run more beneficial for the company and thus the studios. But we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I do think that that's a really good point to bring up. But yeah, I don't know whether I agree with you. Like, I think I'd actually have to think about it a little bit more. But I don't want to say, like, I don't want any of those big games, because sometimes it is fun to get lost in a world you know, just for like a really long time. But sometimes it is also okay to just go straight through the story and enjoy it that way.
Yeah, I think
Don't know.
like the good middle ground in the financial discipline is just like we can have the $300 million games, but they shouldn't have to all be
Yeah.
the $200 to $300 million games. I think that there's a middle ground there that I hope they find, because again, that's not me saying I don't want any of the massive games, because I do, but I think that it's clearly messing with their pipeline by trying to make everything the next biggest thing, and constantly getting bigger in more iterative with sequels. I think like we've reached the breaking point and scaling back a little bit, or again setting the ceiling here, and we can have one or two tentpole things every now and then that do strike out above the rest, but experiment a bit more.
I wonder if they could leave like most of their studios that are already doing that, just like let them be, right? Like the Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, so on and so forth. Like hey, let's just let them do their thing, and then they're like putting more money into like smaller studios and smaller experiences. You know?
Yeah.
Could also be something like that.
And again, sort of like I was saying, even if you have the majority of a team, say at Naughty Dog, working on one big thing, you could have a splinter team that is like Lost Legacy was made by a pretty small team within Naughty Dog right up until the last minute, where sort of everybody from Last of Us 2 piled in to help get it over the line. I think do that again. And that might be what they're doing, because they have the Sean Escape, who came back from Crystal Dynamics, supposedly working on a second unannounced single player thing alongside Intergalactic. So maybe that is what they're doing. But the proof will be in the pudding. So time will tell. We'll still get the big stuff. Like Intergalactic's not going to be a small game. We know that, right? Like, I mean, we don't know that, but come on.
But like we know that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
All right, I guess I'll take this one. Jade Raymond has left Haven Studios. I'm pretty sure I called this. Yeah. Yep. I don't know if I said that, but I'm like, I don't think the studio's going to last. And here's an indicator that might be the case. So Jade Raymond found the studio in 2021 and was acquired as a first party in 2022. And she left the studio. And we haven't, which was making fair games. The free-to-play extraction shooter, was it? Or some sort of multiplayer shooter. And we haven't seen or heard anything about it since its reveal in 2023. And the internal sentiment was very high, according to Jason Schreier, except that weeks ago, there were external play tests that were held for the game, and the response was, I think, not positive broadly. And Fair Games was set to launch later this year in 2025, but right now it's being pushed back to early 2026. And it's just, I don't think this game's trajectory was ever going to be good. And
what is it in the Sony water that they can't do like these multiplayer games?
Except
not
for
like
Helldivers.
100%. Yeah.
What's
going on? They shut down Fair Games just like Concord.
I'm going to be honest. I think with Helldivers they had a skeleton that worked, and that Helldivers 1 existed, and that there is a following from the first game that was able to help catapult to the second game, and the fun, like, tongue-in-cheek fascism stuff found its way to the second game, which gave the game a lot of character, and it was unique in that it was co-op horde shooter rather than, there aren't many of those around compared to battle royales, extraction shooters, team deathmatch based type shooters. So I think Helldivers had an established following, and it was adding to the market. It wasn't trying to take an existing market share, in my opinion. And that's what caught it on fire in a good way. But these other ones are just trying to super saturate a space they can't take anymore, in my opinion.
I think as well, and people might frame this as like a fanboy-ish comment to make, but I think another reason that Helldivers 2 works so well is because they had already collaborated several times with PlayStation. So Sony knew that backing that horse was a good idea. And that's how they've always operated. You know, they don't acquire Housemarque until they've made Dead Nation and Nex Machina and Resogun and then Returnal, and then they acquire the team. They didn't acquire Insomniac until after Spider-Man 2018. You know, like the difference here is that they have, in the feverish live service push, jumped into bed with a lot of not only external teams but acquired teams and made them first party that they are now fiscally responsible for, and they're unproven, and that's where things go wrong, because you don't know how you are going to mesh in terms of what work culture. There isn't a precedent set, like Taylor said, in terms of a framework of a game being built. And it's like great to acquire talent that has expertise in varying degrees in multiplayer or live service games. That's great. Like they had with Firewalk, like they have with a lot of people working on Fair Games. But that isn't going to work out a lot of the time. Sometimes it will, but more often than not, it's not going to. Like, just because the fact that they're a first-party studio doesn't change the fact that the majority of live service attempts in the third-party, just ethereal AA space collapse. Like that, just because you're a first-party team doesn't mean you're exempt from that risk. So, I mean, one of the questions that we got, I guess I will bring it in because it just sort of makes sense here. Carl said, did PlayStation jump the gun with the acquisitions of Haven and Firewalk? Do you see Haven and Fair Games being shut down and cancelled after reports that the game is not in good shape? It's like, yes, they absolutely jumped the gun on buying the teams, because that's just not how they've ever operated. And the results speak for themselves. All the teams that they worked with externally on several projects have panned out great. All of them. There's not a single one that has backfired. The only ones that have backfired are these one-night stand, oh, we like the talent, oh, we like the prototype that you're building, we'll just buy you now because it will probably be cheaper than doing it after the fact. We need something internally because Xbox has bought Call of Duty. We're panicking. Same goes for Bungie, you know? It's not just Haven and Firewalk, it's Bungie as well.
I will say, I think this is kind of a lose-lose situation for them. For both, because like Haven now, because they're owned by Sony, can be closed by Sony, whereas if they had just been like their own thing, like if something doesn't work out, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to close. And who knows, like if like some of the direction of the game got muddied because of the acquisition from Sony. Like, I'm not saying it would be Sony's fault or it isn't. Like, I don't know. But like, who knows? So
yeah,
I do think that when they buy these studios so early, it is a really lose-lose situation.
Well, it's not just that. It's like looking at what happened with Concord, right? Like Concord and Fair Games were revealed at the same time in the same showcase. And both of them had the same response from people. Mass dislikes on trailers, you know, live chats were filled with DOA and all of this nonsense. And it's like, that, look what happened to Concord, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see... I know, hey. And we haven't seen anything from Fair Games outside of that one trailer. So we could be jumping the gun. It could be amazing. Like, we don't know. But all indications suggest that it's in some sort of trouble. And, you know, this isn't just like a creative director leaving the studio or something. It's the studio head. like the person who founded the studio, the name behind the studio. It would be like, I mean, Cory Barlog isn't the studio head of Santa Monica, but it would be like that, or Druckmann leaving Naughty Dog. It's like, that doesn't necessarily mean anything for one given project, but for the studio as a whole and where they are, it's probably not a good sign. So when sentiment is already in the negative without seeing anything, and then a studio head leaves, and then if assuming it's not cancelled, they're going to have to like re-reveal it with actual gameplay. The chats are probably going to be spammed with DOA and mass disliked, and it's going to be clowned on social media, and you know that sucks for the devs first and foremost, but it also just means that the game doesn't really stand a chance, whether it deserves it or not. I don't know. So I struggle to think that it's going to be cancelled. I don't know. There's something about.
I don't think they're going to cancel the game.
Yeah, there's something about it where it's like, if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened already. I feel. I mean, I guess that same mentality was behind Concord, right? Where Concord was far enough along that they were just like, we'll put it out. But
they also sold Concord, though.
They did, but then I don't see Fair Games being free to play.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously that's the right decision, but like everything that Sony is putting out live service is at that $40 point. Concord was, Helldivers 2 was. Marathon isn't free to play, right? And it's not premium, so it's going to be $40. I don't see Fair Games escaping that. I mean, I think for Marathon as well, it makes sense to go free to play at this point. But yeah, I mean, if there's a price point attached to this, then I think, you know, don't want to preemptively rest in peace, but you know, we also have to be pragmatic about the situation. And
yeah, and this is also one that I don't even kind of have an interest in.
No,
not even a little. So
no. But Taylor, he's all about that Fair Games.
He has been telling us that he really wants to play it.
That is the one thing he just has not shut up about for years at this point. Even since the very first reveal, he was like, "That's my game."
And he was like talking, yeah, and he was also saying like, "I should start a Fair Games podcast."
He was like, "Nobody's doing this. There's a niche in the market."
Oh no! Blink twice. Blinking twice. Fair Games.
He just asked himself if he needed help, and then replied to himself that he did need help.
Yeah. Fair Games can go the way of the dodo. It's and by the time it launches, right? Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it.
Oh well.
China knows it. The US knows it.
Yeah.
Vietnam knows it. Greenland.
Yep.
Germany. I'm gonna start listing countries.
Uh-huh.
No, you're not.
Okay.
So this is there anything else that you guys wanted to say about this?
No.
If Fair Games is cancelled, I mean, I said the same thing for Firewalk. If Fair Games is cancelled, I just hope the team isn't closed. Even if that seems unrealistic, I will say it. I will put it out into the ether. I hope that they are given another shot. Especially because, if I'm not mistaken, Haven is in Canada. I believe. And that is a very good place to be if you're looking for video game talent. It's going to be cheaper than the US as well.
Really?
I would say so. It's cheaper than being on the west coast of the US.
Unless you're in Toronto.
A lot of they're big. Well, yeah.
Vancouver's
maybe.
pretty.
Haven Studios is in Montreal.
Okay.
I think it's probably cheaper. Yeah.
So, fingers crossed. And if they do get to stick around and you want to keep them in the multiplayer space, attach something that's an established IP to them.
Sam is not manifesting anything at all right now.
I'm not at all. But I'm just
Hope.
saying, if you want at least some level of buy-in, even if the audience is small, it makes sense to do something from the back catalog. And I'm not even, obviously Resistance is included there.
Parappa the Rappa, okay.
But like, whether it's a SOCOM or a MAG or Resistance or Killzone, like at this stage, if you're trying to establish a live service, it would make sense to base that live service on something that has at least some pre-existing audience that would be interested from the offset, rather than trying to sell everybody in the ecosystem on a brand new IP. That doesn't mean I don't want brand new IP, but specifically for live service games, you kind of need a fair number of people to be like, yeah, well, because it's this franchise, I'll give it a go because I love this franchise.
I feel like they need to establish themselves and understand how that section of the industry works. And they've been trying for so long and not doing well with it.
If only
It's like,
Factions
I
2
don't know.
came out, if only that actually came out.
I never played Factions.
I was thinking about that earlier. God, so good.
Because that would have been like not only the perfect data to pull, information from for them, but it would have been like the trendsetter. It would have been like everybody that internally played it said it was great. It was nearly done. And they binned it. So, I don't know.
Rest in peace. It's because they were like, it's just not sustainable. Let us play for a month, please.
Depressing.
Oh, well. Okay, next one, guys.
Yep.
Okay. Bungie has been caught plagiarizing again.
It gets worse.
Taylor? Thank you. Artist.
Huh? What?
When you click it highlights, it says TPR and it like blocks
Whoops.
like words.
All right. Anyway,
Okay.
go ahead.
An artist named Anti-Real spoke out on Twitter to point out that assets in Marathon were either near perfect copies or direct rips from her work dating back to 2017. That makes me feel so sick. Okay. Bungie shortly thereafter made an official statement where they confirmed after internally investigating that a former Bungie artist, quote unquote, was responsible, that the assets would be removed immediately, and they were speaking with Anti-Real on how to rectify the situation. It was discovered thereafter that several Bungie employees, including the franchise art director Joseph Cross, had been following Anti-Real on social media for years. Bungie had an alpha feedback session scheduled for the 16th, the same day as the controversy was bubbling, and then went ahead with the live stream featuring Joe Cross and game director Joe Ziegler. They addressed the situation and apologized, though the chat was filled with venom. Quote, art raiders, plagiarism will make me God, and the usual DOA commentary. This is the fourth time that Bungie has been hit with a plagiarism scandal in as many years, after multiple issues with Destiny 2 artwork in trailers / weapon skins, etc.
What the fuck? Like, I'm sorry. What
Wow.
is going on?
Well, now I have to go on Instagram.
No, they taught us. All right, I'm going to tell a story. When I was in 7th grade, we had an assignment to do a poem, and I was sick, and I was running up against the assignment due date, so I copied and pasted the one online, changed a few words, and thought I was really, really slick.
Mm.
And then I got a call from my teacher. I'm like, "What? How could she have detected this?" I was 13, and I learned my lesson then not to do it. I'm glad I learned when I was young and had no responsibility. doing this as an adult boggles my mind.
Yeah, I just we like the joke, the recurring joke is that Xbox is the one that keeps stepping on rakes, right? But Bungie is seemingly jumping on landmines. They're just like, what can we do
But where did they
to
come from?
completely screw ourselves over?
I'm
Damn.
just kidding.
Damn.
Some culture can't be unlearned.
Damn.
Maybe I missed the joke.
I'm
Where
not
was
explaining
Bungie?
it.
Where was Bungie before
Yeah.
Sony?
They were owned by Microsoft.
You get it. You get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's inexcusable, right? Like off the bat, very clearly, like there is no middle ground here. The only middle ground I would present, I know that sounds paradoxical, is that, I mean, you shouldn't be like spreading hate and attacking these people regardless of what they've done. But you most definitely shouldn't be directing hate to just Bungie in general. Because there are hundreds of devs at Bungie that had precisely nothing to do with this, didn't know about it, and have been trying to make Marathon the best thing that they can. And you should, it sounds crazy to say, you should show them some mercy, right? The most like crushing thing about this that I imagine, because Paul Tassi reported over the past like 24 or 48 hours that morale at Bungie is in like free fall after this. Like they've just lost hope. And I can understand why, because we've said it ourselves. The one good thing, the one cool, intriguing, potentially enticing thing about Marathon was the art style and the design and the aesthetic and the presentation. And to be fair, Anti-Real didn't come up with this art style, right? This art style has existed for decades. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but there are hundreds of thousands of examples of it across the internet that you can find. So this isn't exclusively, her intellectual property. It's not copyrighted or trademarked. So to claim that the entire aesthetic of Marathon is stolen from her would be inaccurate. But again, there are receipts of posts that she has made in previous years, and you can find literal one-to-one rips of it in the alpha builds of Marathon. So I don't know, like, what does Marathon have going for it now? Like, it still looks cool, like, regardless of what was or wasn't stolen. That doesn't change the fact that the aesthetic is cool. It's cool if Anti-Real did it. It's cool if Bungie did it. If it's a mix of the two, it's still a cool design. But that was the one thing that everybody kind of universally or mostly universally agreed was what Marathon had going for it. That it looked really interesting.
Made it stand out for sure.
Yeah.
Was the whole concept for Marathon's art style just totally plagiarized?
No, that's what I'm saying.
The art style itself has existed.
The art style isn't just solely copied from her. Because this sort of like, you can even look at something like Mirror's Edge, right, where everything is like bleached white and there's very stark splashes of color. It's like neo-futurism, all of this kind of stuff. That's abundant. But it doesn't change the fact that there are assets in Marathon that are literally stolen from this artist's posts.
Well, what's so sad too is that there's so many ways that they could have gone around this, right? Like, hey, we're using this person, like, not even them saying it, like, hey, you like this artist, you can use them as inspiration, but do not copy their work. Like, that's like very, very easy to not do. Just don't copy their work. Or, hey, you really, really like this artist. Is there any way we can have somebody reach out to them and see if we can like collab with them? Like, hey, we really enjoy your artwork. Is there any way we could put some of it in our game?
Yeah.
Like,
And I would be
either
interested.
one is like a viable option.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to know, like, they're speaking with the artist about how to rectify the situation. I mean, they said they're taking the stuff out, which I guess is probably the right thing to do regardless. But I wonder whether this rectifying the situation, if it even can be rectified, it's like, is that something they're considering? Is that something that they've offered? Where it's like, we're sorry we've done this, that this has happened. We would like to actively collaborate with you and obviously pay you. Like, that goes without saying.
But like, would you even want to?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, but has the offer to this artist been made in good faith? Is what I'd be interested, or whether they are just like, is that arguably just setting up another landmine? It's like, well, we stole your work and then we got caught out for it, so now we'll pay you. It's like, maybe that's.
I think that they can't work with that person now, right?
Yeah, I mean,
unless they initiate it, I think the artist would have to initiate it, right? Like,
yeah,
hey, I really don't appreciate you doing this, but like, I would still love to work with you, kind of thing. If they initiated it from their end, that's fine. But otherwise, like, Bungie just has to let it go. Like,
yeah,
like, I don't know.
But that's the thing now. It's like, well, they can't completely upend the entire aesthetic design of Marathon, which is what they would have to do to aesthetically escape the connotations now. Like, this game will forever be seen as, even if it hasn't got any of the assets in it anymore, it will forever be remembered as, oh, you stole this art style from the artist. That's what it's going to, that's the shadow that's going to be hanging over this game.
No, it won't. Because most people who play this game will never have heard of this story. That's the reality.
I don't know about that. Because I think the majority of people that are going to be playing this game are Bungie diehards.
Yeah.
Who care about Bungie's previous games and are buying in.
For the record, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be known by everyone who plays it. But this type of thing will happen all the time, and you or me never hear about it. And it's most of the people who play games aren't tuned into stories like this. So, but for Marathon specifically, maybe you have a point.
Yeah. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope for Bungie's sake that somehow they're able to navigate this and come out unscathed. But I think that, again, talking about fair games, talking about Concord, public sentiment around this game is, well, the alpha wasn't that fun. Where's the PvE? Where's this and that? They didn't talk about that in the live stream. I watched it just out of interest to see how they comment on this situation. And it was a bloodbath in the live chat, I can tell you that. They looked like they were about to cry like the entire time. So I feel really bad for them. I just don't know how they escaped this. Like, people are like, well, the game isn't that fun, and the one cool thing you had, you stole. And even if that is generalizing to an extreme degree, that is what the community's sentiment is right now. And especially if this game is launching in what, like 2.5 months? No, 3.5 months?
Yep.
In September? Like, I don't know, man. I don't think you can turn it around in that time. And even if you delay it, are you going to escape this sort of miasma that's...
No. You can't escape a wrongdoing other than publicly acknowledge it and try to atone for it. The best they could do, if I'm Bungie, is publicly say, this artist's work was plagiarized, and give the artist a large sum of money. Maybe, and I don't know how rights, it depends I don't know how IP infringement applies here. If it was, I don't know if this artist's art was like publicly viewable, then someone could legally take it without permission, even though it's a really ethically shitty thing to do. If they actually had
No,
that legal.
I think Instagram is like a protected.
Oh, so it was from Instagram?
Yeah.
So, I think if I'm Bungie, the nicest way to do it is give the artist a large sum of money. I'm talking 7 digits. Ask for permission to use her assets in the game now. Or sorry, their assets, whatever gender the artist is. He, her, them, whatever. And if the artist says no, then you scrub it and make new assets somehow. So, and then you delay the game until those new assets are realized in the final product.
I will say I just looked through that article that we have linked like in our document. For people who are curious, you can look it up on Forbes. I hesitate to even like, based on the way that the art looks and like what they're pulling from, I wouldn't be surprised if there's even more references than what they're like able to even think of or find. Like what I'm saying is like because it's like it is, you can tell it's a one-to-one ripoff, but it's smaller pieces of art inside of the game. So it'll be like, there's a giant ship and then there's like a little tiny logo on the ship, right? That's like the stolen piece. I wonder if they can like fully pull all of the stolen art even out of the game at this point.
Okay, well, I guess diving into the article more, the artist said they were a former Bungie artist and they made decals but they personally refined it themselves. So if I'm a Bungie artist today, and I don't have this history that this one guy did following this artist's work going all the way back, and I saw on a piece of paper that they had this blueprint for a design, and I went with it, I feel like there's probably a lot of unbeknownst plagiarizers at Bungie who thought what they were using was Bungie original IP or Bungie or approved for Bungie use art. And that's the other unfortunate thing about it. There's so many artists at Bungie today who probably implemented this person's art into the game or had a hand in doing it without knowing it was plagiarized.
Yeah,
and that's not their fault, for the record, but it's still, if I was them, I think I'd still feel bad about it, unfortunately. And yeah, at first I was going to give them maybe a little more grace because they were a former Bungie artist, but the fact this artist continued this work on their own personal social media and what's his name, the Bungie employee who was following her since 2017.
Just to be clear, the artist that has been stolen from wasn't ever working at Bungie.
Oh wait, but it said former.
Yeah, a former Bungie artist is the one that stole it. Was responsible for copying the assets.
You're right. Sorry, I misinterpreted. Yep. Yeah. There's no leeway then here at all, really.
But the thing is they initially said, oh, you know what, it was a former Bungie artist, but then it's now discovered that a bunch of people were following this artist. So it's like, how do you even prove that it was just this one former artist? They can blame it on them.
Wait, no, Sam, the article says within a matter of hours, the spread to virally, Bungie issued a statement saying it was a former Bungie artist who included the decals in a texture sheet.
Yeah, it's easy to blame somebody that's not there anymore.
Yeah, so a former Bungie artist who doesn't work there anymore took the designs of this other artist, put them into a mood board, essentially, and then those were implemented into the game.
Yeah, okay. So this other artist the artist's original work, who these decals come from, never worked at the company at all.
No.
Yeah, so like I said, if I'm Bungie, I offer at least $1 million in settlement, and I ask for permission to use the art now, and if they say no, then you redo the art.
Well, I mean, they've already said that they're removing the art, so I and like we were saying, I don't think that it's probably a smart move to include the art anymore, obviously. let alone work or actually like collaborate with the artist. Definitely not on Marathon, at least. Like maybe you could justify working with them on a future project from the beginning.
I mean, if the artist gave permission, I wouldn't see an issue with it. The artist gives permission now.
Well, no, there wouldn't be like a moral issue with it, but there would be a sentiment and optics issue, I think.
I think that would be a short-term optics issue. But anyway, we're talking about hypotheticals that don't exist. Bungie said they were moving it anyway. So
yeah. And like you were saying, Bree, like it's bad enough that several people were following them, but one of the people following them is the guy who leads the art for the game. Like he is responsible for the aesthetic choices
to the top, right? It's not some lone bad actor who has low influence within the company. It is the head art person.
Yeah, and that doesn't immediately indicate
to be fair,
guilt, but
yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is, to be fair, like regardless, like ignoring Bungie's messaging of like, oh, this was a former Bungie employee, that could be true. It could also be that like there were multiple people that stole from this artist. Like we don't know. But just because somebody's following somebody else on Instagram doesn't mean that they were the culprit.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
So
but it's not
innocent
a good look.
until proven guilty kind of thing, but also definitely not a good look.
Can't catch a break.
Messy.
You know?
And that's the thing, right? In the age of social media, think about how many pieces of art how many infractions like this occurred before the age of social media, and nothing ever happened because the dissemination of information was not as widespread, right? So I guarantee you on comics, this thing must have happened all the time. Game art before the internet. Well, even now, I'm sure it happens and people never know. But
this is something that comes up, unfortunately, frequently with like writing, like specifically like books that come out and stuff like that. Right. Because there's not really any original stories anymore, right? You can do things fresh. There's like a fresh take on a story, but all stories are kind of derivative of each other. And so at what point is it stolen work versus inspiration from that work and stuff like that? It's getting a little, there's been several controversies that have happened in the writing industry very recently. So but
and this isn't the first time that Bungie's been caught recently. So it's like, there's clearly a fundamental structural issue at Bungie where this is continually being overlooked or ignored. And, you know, I wasn't into the idea, but I think it's reached critical mass now where I do think that the best thing for Bungie is for PlayStation to step in, strip the executive suite of Bungie, and bring it all entirely under SIE's control. Because as much as that sounds like, oh, that's a bit shady, it's like, well, they paid so much money for this team. It's causing them controversy after controversy, bleeding money. And the executive suite of Bungie isn't helping. They aren't resolving problems. They are just perpetuating them.
I don't mean this to be like an extreme question. I'm genuinely curious. Do you think Bungie is long-term going to survive?
No.
Not at the going rate currently. I mean, they've let go of staff. They have spun out incubation projects, and poached more employees for those incubation projects. I mean, it's one of those things where like Bungie is such a renowned name that you think like that. Well, there's no way that they close them down just for name recognition alone. But there is a line that I think you get to with teams, regardless of who they are. Was like we look at BioWare, right, or Rocksteady, or any big names that are legendary in the space. Like if the next Mass Effect flops, I think BioWare is dead. Same goes for whatever Batman game that Rocksteady's working on next, following after Dragon Age and Suicide Squad, respectively. I'm like, I can't imagine a world where those teams don't exist anymore. But again, you look at something like Arcane, they made all these excellent games, then they were forced to make Redfall, and you had tons of talent bleed over the course of that project. That project is then terrible, tarnishing the reputation of the studio, and the studio is a husk of its former self because all the talent is left. Just like how much of Bungie is still Bungie. I don't know. What does that even mean anymore?
Yeah, I think if you think about it in terms of like the history of Bungie, I agree that it's like who like I don't want Bungie to go away. But if you look at it in terms of like from Destiny 1 on, so the past 3 games, the third one not even being out yet, they've been having issues. Serious issues. And yeah, they've had really good moments, right? Like obviously they've had to have really good moments because like at some point they've made a lot of money. But how many of those moments were sandwiched by like really, really horrible things? I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. I really do wish Bungie the best, and I hope that things work out for them. But man,
It is absurd how cataclysmically bad the live service push has gone.
yeah.
The market's saturated. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but
Fortnite,
even
COD,
beyond that,
PUBG. You don't even want to include PUBG anymore. It's Rainbow
I
Six.
do not know anybody that plays PUBG.
I think it's more
Yeah.
popular out east still, but
I do think that like people need to understand like when they're trying to get into a live service, you have to have something that is unique. And again, nothing's new. But like you have to have something unique to break into this industry because this like live service specifically is incredibly well established. And why would I move from my game that I know I'm happy with to this other game, right? Like you have to give people a very specific reason why. Like if I am loving League of Legends, there is no reason for me to go to another MOBA. Like I'm more than happy with League of Legends and I have no reason to go elsewhere. So give me something new, right? Kind of thing. It's just, I don't know. I don't think that PlayStation truly respects that, how established the industry is. I think they just see dollar signs.
well, yeah, capitalism. But yeah.
Okay. Well, bummer. Sam, did you want to read this next one?
yeah, I can speed through this one. This one's a bit happier. Yay.
Yeah, bro.
According to Kojima, internal reviews of Death Stranding 2 are tracking much higher than the first game. So he had a recent interview with Edge magazine, and he commented that Death Stranding 2 has been scoring far higher with test reviewers compared to Death Stranding 1. He continued by saying that he's happy it's being received well, but ultimately is a little disappointed. Quote, "Of course, I want people to play my game, so I must listen to them to a certain extent, but also I'm not interested in making something that appeals to everyone. I find that 4 out of 10 people would love the first game, but 6 would say it was a terrible game. For me, I think that's a good balance. But with a playtest for Death Stranding 2 on the beach, everyone seems to be positive. Of course, I can't afford to make a failure either. I must take care of my studio, my staff, and our production budget. But in essence, I don't want to simply recreate something that's already in the world. I want to make something new."
He like delays it. He's like, reviews are too good, guys.
We need to make the game worse. I mean, I guess I wouldn't expect anything else from Kojima, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is reassuring because I think that no matter which way you spin it, the mediocre critical reception of Death Stranding 1 has kind of hurt it. I know there's been a lot of revisionism in the years since, which is
my
good.
God, so much. Literally so much.
Deservedly so. And I'm glad that that has happened and people have given it a chance as time's gone on. And I'm glad that people are reviewing Death Stranding 2 super high, even if that is based on some of the changes that have been implemented since the first game. But yeah, I don't think it's a net negative, because if this exposes more people to Death Stranding, that's a win for me.
Sam, you got me back on the train because of this game. I'm like, also in a moment in my life where I'm like, what do I do? And I just want to walk
Go build roads.
and go build roads.
To some vibey music in the rain.
Just wait, Taylor. You're like, I'm happy walking, and then you start building roads, and you're like, there's no point
This is my
other
life
than
mission.
building roads.
I'm gonna interrupt you rudely. Is Death Stranding? I can be kind of like my own little urban planner, but it's just me. I'm gonna put a road here and put a road there and ladder here, but okay.
You can put ladders and like descendable, ascendable ropes wherever you want.
So why don't hikers just plant ladders all the time?
Well, they do.
I don't think I've ever put a ladder because there's always one there.
Well, I mean, you do in the early game when you first start.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
But the roads are in pre-selected places, and you contribute resources to building out a specific section of it. So you can do it all in stages, but that's a communal thing as well. So like as you progress through the game, you'll see that other people have contributed resources that finish the roads for you. So you can
I need to reopen my game because it's been a while. I bet there's a bunch of roads.
I'm already seeing roads on mine.
I'm roading.
And I'm only 5 hours in.
Do you need PS Plus to see those?
Oh yeah.
No.
Good.
Nope.
Anyway,
you don't need PS Plus for anything. So
that was my problem. I got too addicted to roads.
I don't think that's a problem, Bree. I think that's a good thing.
It is a problem when you stop playing the game because you're like, well, I've played the game enough now.
Yeah, I've had my fill. I've made the roads. Yeah, there's not much more to this story. Just that everybody that's trying out Death Stranding 2 seems to be really vibing with it, which is exciting. We're literally just over a month away, a few days and a month. This is the 26th it comes out, and early access is 24th, so not long to go. I would say, as a word of warning, because this might be the last time we speak about Death Stranding 2 before it comes out, if you are interested in playing it, check out a couple of the older trailers. If you are already sold on the game, don't watch whatever trailers Kojima puts out from this point forward. Don't watch them. Because Kojima has a really, really bad track record, Death Stranding 1 included, of putting out like launch trailers or whatever they're called
That's like the whole story.
Spoil a lot of stuff, show you a lot of stuff that you wish you probably hadn't seen. I already feel like I've seen too much of Death Stranding 2 from the trailers that have come out already. So I won't be watching
the one.
Damn.
I don't know.
Damn.
Okay. Last story?
Take it away.
Do you want to read it, or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll read. Go
ahead.
That's an Austin Powers reference.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't know what that is.
All right, Scott. Oh, and
I
now
know
it's
what
Scott
Austin
reference.
Powers is.
Okay, well, that's a step up than I thought we were going to be. So
I have a bag of with your name on it.
Got any more quotes for us?
Mole, 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 mole.
Classic.
Keep going.
Okay.
You complete me. You complete me.
You complete. All I want is a freaking rotating chair.
Get in my belly.
Yeah, of course, fat bastard.
Etc.
Yep. It's a bit nutty. When Austin Powers drinks the funny coffee, and it's not coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. Stellar Blade's PC bonus content will always be added to PlayStation for free. I know Kyle's excited. The PC version of Stellar Blade will release on June 11th and include 25 new costumes and new boss battles, support for DLSS and FSR, which are the upscaling technologies for NVIDIA and AMD graphics cards on PC, which make the frames better. And also high resolution textures, ultra wide support, and more. And that's all on PC. And Shift Up confirmed that PS5 players will receive some of this additional content via free update. So the game's new boss battle, which will be coming to PS5, is Man, M-A-N-N, the leader of the Sentinels. He's a seasoned warrior, master of weapons, the bodyguard of Oracle, and the guardian of Zion. Zion. Shift Up says, face his might in the boss challenge and prove why Eve is truly worthy. And after the update, players will also be able to collect their 25 new nano suits as additional rewards, and that's coming to PS5.
I need to go back into that game. I think I'm gonna New Game Plus it to get the rest of the suits. We'll see.
As if there weren't already enough suits.
Well, the more suits we have, the more random pieces of skin we see.
You're not wrong there.
When I was playing that game, like I'd be like, man, this is the craziest like suit I've ever seen. And then the next one would be even crazier. And it just kept going.
Speaking of skin, isn't Norman Reedus naked various times in Death Stranding?
I mean,
I have
yeah.
seen his butt
Hell
several
yeah.
times.
You
Hell
don't
yeah.
you don't see peen, unfortunately. But
The game would have cost double if you did.
Norman Reedus looks the same as he did 20 years ago. Changed my mind.
that's what the deluxe edition is for.
All right. Well,
Oh my god.
wow. Well, with that said, thank you all so much. Wait, we have questions. Brandon has a question. People seem to have mixed reviews about premium games for this month's PS Plus. How do you feel about it? What would you change? Since we're 5 months in, how do you feel about the assessed value? I don't know what assessed value is. Does he mean of the PS5 Pro?
No, of PS Plus this year.
Oh, okay. And we didn't even talk about the premium news. There were new games. What's so funny?
I sent a message in Discord to the group.
Bree, we can talk about that in the post show.
I'd rather not, but I know we're going to.
Okay. Well, I don't know which premium. There's one addition to the premium tier for May, and it's Battle Engine Aquila. What?
I think that personally, I do not think PlayStation's premium tier is worth it. And I haven't the entire time. But I do also know that Sam's had a good time with it. So
yeah, so no, it's not just that. It's for the classics, it was just Battle Engine Aquila, whatever. And for the games catalog, which is extra and premium, it had Battlefield 5, Humankind, Gloomhaven, Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, Sandland, Soul Hackers 2, Friday Night at Freddy's Help Wanted Full-Time Edition, Stalker, Legends of the Zone Trilogy, and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising. The extra catalog isn't terrible, but the classics just for premium. Yeah, you get Battle Engine Aquila. Battle Engine Aquila.
I believe it's pronounced Aquila.
I agree. Yes, it is.
Did I say? I kept saying Aquila. That's a white boy response, isn't it? Aquila. Yes.
Aquila.
Aquila.
Yeah.
I continue to fumble. Okay. As someone who took Spanish in high school and did well in it, geez. So this looks like a shooty game.
That narrows it down.
I don't know what this is. You're shooting ships. It looks kind of cool, to be honest. People should stop complaining. Just take what they can get. All right.
I mean, I've been on premium since its inception.
Yeah, I know.
I know that it's not worth it.
Unless you're Kevin and you get $90 a year due to being grandfathered in from PlayStation Now that Sony hasn't corrected.
I think that there's no denying that the quality of PlayStation Plus across all tiers fluctuates very, very heavily month to month. This month, not that great, really, at all. Especially considering all those games that we talked about are leaving the service as well. Infamous, Resistance, all of those are leaving at the same time these new ones are coming in, so we're kind of getting a really shitty trade. But yeah, it's subjective. I think, like, it depends. How much are you using it? And I think that if it was just the classic games with nothing done to them, then there really wouldn't be any argument to go onto premium. But pretty much every premium game they add has like upscaling, modernized controls, and almost always have trophy lists as well added to them. So like it makes sense that if you are the sickos of the PlayStation ecosystem that loves chasing trophies and loves the history of PlayStation, etc., then that would be the people most likely to be on premium and thus take advantage of those features, like myself.
Yep.
So I don't think it's worth it as it stands, but I also can't say that over the course of a year I wouldn't technically get my money's worth. So
I don't think I would argue that over the course of like a year for extra, yes, I think you get your money's worth. I don't think you're getting your money's worth for the premium year.
Agree. Yeah,
Like,
think
even
about
over
how
the
much Flight
year,
Sim you
'cause,
could
like,
play.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
I was just sick in my mouth.
What's in your mouth, Sam?
Vomit, but I swallowed it back down.
Scott.
Is it the director's cut version of Scott, or
Oh God.
That's the question, isn't it?
only Taylor can answer?
That's true.
No comment.
And that in and of itself is the answer.
Help is the answer.
I think
Get
I changed the meaning of director's
Scott
cut
out of
for
your
myself.
mouth, Taylor.
You
Speak clearly.
Speak to.
TLDR, premium's not worth it.
Yeah.
So true. Sorry, Brandon.
Actually, I do think if you are a classic gamer, it might be.
But then,
You know?
that there is also the argument that a lot of these games are added to the PlayStation Store wholesale, so like you can purchase them individually for not that much. So if you are a classic oriented gamer that
But
likes
I think if you
to
were
see these things,
only playing classic games, I think it could maybe potentially, if you're playing a lot of them, maybe be a good deal.
yeah.
Then why would you get a PS5?
You're not wrong, Taylor, but I was just trying to make like an argument for premium.
It's like all I want to play is the new PS5 games and PS1 games, nothing in between.
Yeah.
They exist.
Well,
There's dozens of them.
maybe I'd subscribe for a month to play the old Armored Core games. That'd be maybe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank y'all so much for listening. You can find us on YouTube at Save the Game Media. Discord links are on the show notes. Where can people find you, Bree?
You can find me at Fabulous Brianna, FabulastBreanna.
All right. What about you, Sam?
Anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
All right. You can find me as TPR on the Discord, TPR pound 6868 on Xbox, where I'm playing Flight Sim on PC. And Mr. Carter 9 on PSN, MRCARTERNINE. And we're going to talk about what director's cut really means on the post show. So see you guys there. Bye-bye.
Bye.